return for the human life form known as Peter Berkos. Humanoid Peter Berkos has been discovered.
Wow, so you think there was an external equalizer on the human voice, like before the vocoder or after the vocoder was recorded?
It was before the vocoder.
And man, so I know my buddy said they had the Pultec EQ and the Lang EQ, but that was a long time ago. You could probably, I bet if you searched for, vintage equalizers and you saw a picture of it, maybe you would recognize it.
Yeah, there's so much, before talking, I was trying to recall as much as I could, but, that was a long time ago, and most of it is gone by the wayside, I don't think I worked on anything that deserved an Emmy more than Battlestar Galactica, and it was completely ignored.
People mention that in the comments. There's a Cylon video on YouTube just with some scenes, and people point out that the sound design was so far ahead of its time. Like like a lot of people recognize that, even if the Academy doesn't recognize. I mean, that was so mesmerizing. Just the lasers, the music, the Cylon voice, the way it was done. It was so top notch, and yeah, like you said, ignored. Interesting.
We introduced a lot of new stuff. I went to the Emmy people, I complained. And this is what he told me. He said, your problem is you just don't have enough people in the Academy.
Like politics, huh?
How many people you had in the Academy to vote for that you could win. That is, and I said, you mean that's what this Emmy is worth? I said, I don't need it.
Wow, yeah, it's not what you know, it's who you know, huh?
Exactly. That's what that's saying to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that over the years that music, it's the exact same way, I see these little videos of people sitting on the edge of their bed playing guitar and singing. They're the most amazing talent I've ever seen. And then these complete numbskulls get famous for doing dumb things. They can't even name the notes of the piano.
Every episode of that little stuff demanded creative sound.
Uh-huh.
You go to a library and get it. You had to study it and come up with the elements you needed to make it.
Right, right, because it was either the future or the past, and it was very far away, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't have any paperwork from back then, otherwise I could have told you, and it just plays, depending on my memory to come up with this guy's name, but I have a clear picture of him in my mind, I just don't remember his name.
Yeah, so he was famous. He would have been in like newspaper articles and things like that.
Yeah, he, as they say, I'm certain he was Nazi, but I'm not too sure if he was either a wrestler or a boxer. But we got him on the stage only for his voice. He wasn't an actor.
Wow. So was it? George said that it was not super deep, but maybe he wasn't speaking in a low pitched voice. But deep is subjective. It could have been very resonant.
Yeah. It wasn't the actor. You know what I mean?
Right. He was
we had to loop all of the lead dialogue in order to use this man's voice.
Right, and I wonder how if maybe Glenn knew his voice would sound good in the vocoder. That's so strange.
Yeah, he was brought in purely for that reason, and just for his voice, and that he was able to work off the script very nicely.
Wow, would you remember? Was he a white guy or a black guy?
Oh, he was white.
He was white.
He was a white fella, very muscular.
Huh.
And we worked on the loop stage. We never worked on a shooting stage.
Wow.
He would have a headset that would have the original dialogue in one earpiece, and then he would talk and hear his delivery in the other earpiece. Because we had these things take all of that dialogue.
Right. And so, like the original voice in one ear and then the vocoder in the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it has to be. If you don't speak the correct pitch, it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
When they first did the Battlestar Galactica movie, they had a character, and you had to invent the voice for it. I'm told that Glen Larson wanted something similar to the movie Colossus.
I don't recall that at all.
Okay, yeah.
He did have a definite idea of what he wanted in a certain voice.
Okay.
But he said, I wanted to sound like a sinister, like a snake talking.
Oh, wow.
And so I got my head of a snake hissing into the vocoder along with the actor's voice.
Yeah,
and what he said, his comment was, well, that sounds too sinister. And then he turned around and went the opposite direction and got a very sophisticated voice.
Yeah, and when you record it, it's one thing, and I think that EQ you mentioned probably does something, but after it goes to tape 4 or 5 times, dubbing and all the tube preamps, it gets more colorful and more complex, and that's the hard part to really recreate.
You're creating something that never existed.
Yeah. Yep. And
you put it in a vocoder, it fragmentizes the two sounds and marries them up.
Right, and that waveform is so rich and so complex, and then what the compressors do to it, it just comes to life. And many people have said, I did a little documentary video, and many people have commented when they were little and they watched that and they heard the Cylon, their ears perked up, and it's the word we say that's mesmerizing. It's just a mesmerizing sound.
Now the biggest problem with the series was Glenn. He had no concept of time at all. He wanted what he wanted at the time that he wanted it. At one time he was, for some reason, in Paris, and he wanted to see reel 2. And he called the studio and he said, I want to run reel 2 of the picture that they were working on. And so they got the editor that worked on reel 2. And they said, we want to run reel 2. He said, okay, I'll go to the studio. And this is late at night. And he said, no, we're sending a car for you. He couldn't understand why, They sent a car and took him to the airport. So he got in a plane and flew to Paris, France, so Glenn could see reel 2.
Yeah.
Reel 2, he saw about half of it. He said, okay, I saw what I want. They send him home, put him back on the plane.
Yeah, if you have that money, I guess you get what you want, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we would go in. As I said, we would go in on we would jump all week, but on Friday we knew we were not going to be home until Sunday.
Oh, wow, just busy.
Yeah. What happened then was every 6 hours you got a meal penalty, so the price, your pay went up. You also got overtime, then golden time, then golden time. We made nothing but money on that film. And that's what broke it. He spent $1 million a week on movies, on a TV show.
Yeah, that's what I understand, but never heard it explained quite so clearly before.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and the Cylon costumes were expensive, and they kept destroying them, and then they told them no more. You got to piece together parts and make new ones.
Many times we slept in the dubbing room because we were on call. You're 24-hour a day on call.
Wow, busy.
You slept in the dubbing room because at any time of the day or night, you could ask for a certain scene to be changed or different sounds or whatever. So we were his call. But he paid for it. He wasn't shy about paying for it.
Yeah, and I understand they canceled it and then they brought it back and called it Galactica 1980. And
right. Now, I did not work on Galactica 80. That was Sam Reynolds.
Ah, okay.
I did the first of them. By 1980, all of the sound effects for the in-flight was my stuff. That was put into the library.
That,
Galactica had its own private library.
yeah,
It became probably the Universal Studios.
I'm told that the synthesizer oscillator, George said that they backed it up on a reel-to-reel so they could play the tone into the vocoder off of a reel. So yeah, because without that synthesizer, you can't get that tone.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's just so incredible. Hey, I would love to talk again another time. I have to get going, but if that's okay with you, I'll absolutely another day would like to talk some more.
Absolutely. I enjoy talking.
Okay. I really appreciate you calling, and we'll be talking again soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.